I represent officers in a number of different circumstances. I've had the privilege of arguing in court, including at the Ninth Circuit, to protect the rights of police officers. I also respond to critical incidents all across the state, where I'm working with ASCOPS members to make sure that their rights are protected. One of the issues that often comes up are police uniforms. This is because what officers wear actually matters when it comes to evaluating how the officers and members of the public interact. I'm Steve Serbalik, and I'm a panel attorney with ASCOPS. And today's topic is why it's important for officers to follow their uniform policy. Here are some basic tenets of the law as it relates to officers. First, Graham versus Connor is a key case that discusses police use of force issues. I've covered Graham in previous videos. One of them is linked above, and the link is also in the description below. If you haven't seen it yet, check them out. But the basic point that applies to uniforms is this: officers' conduct is judged by the objective reasonableness standard. Put quite simply, based upon the totality of the circumstances at hand. Was the interaction between the officer and the member of the public reasonable? Part of that analysis that can weigh in the officer's favor is whether the member of the public should have known that they were dealing with a legitimate law enforcement officer. One of the main things that can be favorable to the officer is if the officer is easily identifiable as a police officer. The primary ways that this is established is whether the officer arrived in a fully marked patrol car and if the car had its emergency equipment activated, lights and sirens. But the other factor that matters is whether the officer was in a uniform. The basic elements of the uniform is whether a badge is displayed, but there are all kinds of badges out there. So the other element that officers sometimes don't consider is the other elements of the uniform. I know that surveillance or undercover activities are often necessary in police work, but if you aren't engaging in plainclothes activity, it's important for officers and agencies to make sure that their officers are easily and readily identifiable as law enforcement. After critical incidents, officers are almost always photographed from all angles. These pictures hopefully demonstrate that the officer is identifiable as a legitimate law enforcement officer from all perspectives. Where things can get complicated is if officers are wearing items that would tend to show that they're not police officers. For example, it's generally not a good idea to wear hats, patches, or other decorations that are not issued or approved by your police department. While they may look cool, they simply aren't helpful when faced with an argument that the suspect or member of the public thought that the person that they were dealing with wasn't a real police officer. So the bottom line is this: if you're on duty in a uniformed capacity, stay in uniform. Avoid the temptation to add your own personal items to your uniform. If you want to wear a hat or other gear as part of your uniform, whenever possible, make sure that all of your visible gear is department issued. If your department doesn't issue gear that you think that you need, for example, if it's cold and they don't have appropriate headgear for you, or if it's sunny and you need a hat to protect your head and your face, ask your supervisor or your local leader to talk with your department about getting appropriate issued gear. You don't want to get in trouble for wearing unauthorized equipment. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below the video. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to help my channel grow. Please share this video with anyone else that you know that you think might find it helpful, and be on the lookout for future videos. They come out every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Arizona time. I'm Steve Serbalik. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.